Welcome to First Garden, New Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. Cucumbers are a staple in many backyards, and there's a variety of different ways in which you can plant cucumbers and dozens upon dozens of varieties in which you can select. A couple of things you want to keep in mind when you're looking at a cucumber variety is what's the end result. Are you going to can them for pickles? Or are you going to grow them to eat? If you're growing them to eat, you don't want to use those for pickling because they do not can well. The varieties that are good for pickling have the term pickling, whether it's Boston pickling, Wisconsin pickling, or a variety of other ones that have that term in it. Cucumbers can be grown on the ground or on a trellis. Growing up on the farm, we never trellised a cucumber ever. We let them sprawl out on the ground. The disadvantage to that is it's hard to see the cucumbers, and you always will find one the size of a football that has been missed. That is also bad because that plant that particular cucumber is attached to stops producing. It focuses all its energy on the seeds inside of that massive cucumber, and you've lost a tremendous amount of production. Cucumbers, just like other vegetables, are not growing to produce produce for you, but to set seed for the next generation. A regular harvest of cucumbers or peppers or eggplants or whatever the case is keeps that plant producing. So we've got a trellis here. We've made it out of a pallet. It's about 3 foot by 2 foot. And we've got T-post and we've got a rubber coated fence. Now at some point we might have to add more support here, but for the temporary being, this should be okay. This will allow the plants to grow up this side here, and then they'll funnel through and allow the ease of picking the cucumbers. This also helps nature as well. If they just sprawled out on the ground, bees are very creative. They will get in there and pollinate the flowers, but this allows more accessibility to more pollinators to get in there and pollinate the flowers that are on the vine. So we could do another row. We're going to do a row here and a row here. Now we could do a row here and I could put a fence up, but you have to remember the end result of what your plant is going to look like. There's going to be a massive amount of leaves that will shade the soil down here. So even if we had a row, they would be greatly inhibited because of the lack of sunlight that they would be receiving because of the foliage of the plants around. So how do we plant these? You can buy your starts from the local independent garden center. I advise not to do that because they grow just as quick from seed. If you plant a transplant versus a seed, in 4 weeks, they're the same size. So it's just much easier, and you have a much more selection of varieties to choose from. So we're going to do a couple of varieties here. Now this is just compost that came out of our compost bin. So there is going to be some weed seeds. If you do purchase compost, you're going to have weed seed free. Cucumbers do not like cold soil, so about the minimum would be 60 degrees, preferably 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and planting them at that soil temperature. You can check that soil temperature with a meat thermometer, digital meat thermometer, to get an accurate reading. Cucumbers don't grow all the way till frost. They're a shorter season crop, so you'd want to plant for long season, another crop about 45 days from the time you plant your first crop. So you want to go about a ½ inch deep, and you'll want to space your cucumbers about 3 to 4 inches apart, because we don't want to crowd these things too tight, but we want to maximize the space in which we have available. Again, this is just a metal rubber coated fencing. You could have strings, you could have poles, people have used the bed springs of mattresses before. They've burnt off the material and used that. We've used the sides of baby cribs and the bottom of baby cribs. So whatever way you can get them to grow up, it'll make the harvesting much, much easier. Okay, so let's talk about planting. Now, we're going to grow a lemon cucumber. Now, this has no lemon flavor whatsoever, but it is a round, baseball-sized cucumber that is yellow. It looks like a lemon. Now, you don't see these in the stores very often because their shelf life is very, very short. So with planting 4 varieties, I am going to quadrant this off to halfway, and it's okay to overplant. So when I mean overplant, I'm going to put 2 or 3 seeds there, move 3 inches, and move another spot and put a few more seeds. This way you can guarantee yourself the seeds to germinate, and you can always go back and snip off the ones that are the weaker of the bunch that is growing in that cluster. You want to utilize and only pick one, because then that will maximize the production. Too many seeds in one location will crowd out and inhibit each of them growing together. It will lessen the production. So now that that's done, just going to cover over about a 1/2 inch of soil. If you get it 3/4 of an inch or an inch, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So then I'll do the rest of the seeds just the same as I did those. And then what we want to do is we want to talk about mulch. That's the key to everything that we do in the garden. This is a dry grass clippings that contain no weed seeds and has not been sprayed with a chemical such as a weed and feed that contains an herbicide. There's a broadleaf spray that would attach to the grass clippings, and then when you water would release and kill your plants in your garden, even if it was in compostable form. So it's okay to put 1/2 inch to an inch of this mulch. If you don't have grass clippings, you can use straw, you can use shredded paper. All we're doing is creating a barrier between the soil, the seeds, and the environment, the air, the sunlight, to hold that moisture in, to allow those seeds to germinate. And then once they germinate, this is a very light material that will allow the plants to push through, and you can continue to add more dry grass clippings throughout the season. Not only does it hold the moisture in, it suppresses the weeds as well as feeds the soil as it breaks down. Thanks for joining me. As always, rate, subscribe, and comment.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.